Prince Harry and his wife Meghan Markle are feeling very, very angry right now. They are feeling a lot of big emotions because they are very upset with a man named Tom Bower. Tom Bower is a man who writes books about famous people, and he just wrote a brand new book that tells many secrets that were supposed to stay hidden. Tom Bower is known for being a very brave writer because he likes to tell the truth even when the truth is not very nice or sweet. In his new book, he says something that sounds very scary and very serious. He says that Meghan Markle actually brainwashed Prince Harry. To brainwash someone is a very strong word that means making a person believe things that are not actually true or making them act in a way they would never normally act. On her big wedding day, Meghan sat inside a very fancy and very expensive car called a Rolls-Royce. This car was worth so much money that it actually costs more than most regular people will ever earn in their whole entire lives, even if they work every single day. She was wearing a beautiful white dress that cost a huge fortune of money. She was getting ready to walk into a giant, beautiful church for one of the most important events in the whole entire world. About 65 million people stayed home to watch her on their televisions. The streets in the old town of Windsor were filled with hundreds of thousands of people who traveled from far away. These people were cheering loudly and waving their flags, and some of them were even crying tears of joy because they were so happy for the new princess. Everyone in the whole world looked at the screen and said it looked like a perfect fairy tale. A fairy tale is a story about magic and kings and queens and happy endings, just like the stories you read in a book for children. But there was one very big and very important question that nobody was asking out loud back then. People are starting to ask that question now because things have changed so much since that day. The question is this: whose fairy tale was it really? Was it a happy story for the prince who wanted love, or was it just a big plan made by Meghan? Right now, in the month of March in the year 2026, things are getting very, very difficult for Meghan Markle. It feels like the walls are closing in on her, which is a way of saying she has nowhere to hide, and she feels trapped like she is in a corner. The man who is making her feel this way is Tom Bower. He is a very smart writer who spends a lot of his time looking for the real truth. He has spent many years showing the world that powerful people are not always who they say they are in public. He has written many books about very rich people, leaders of big countries, and famous bosses. Now, he is using all of his time and his energy to look closely at the Duchess of Sussex, which is Meghan's official royal name that she got when she married Harry. Tom Bower says that what he found is not a real love story like the ones in the movies. He says it is actually a very smart and very clever plan to make Meghan look like a perfect and wonderful person to the whole world. He thinks she worked very, very hard to make sure everyone liked her, but the foundation she built her story on is now starting to break apart. When a foundation breaks, the whole house can fall down and crash. This means her secrets are finally coming out, and she cannot stop them from being told anymore. Today, we are going to talk about the 10 ugliest and most difficult truths that Tom Bower has found. These are things about Meghan Markle and her very expensive wedding that cost £32 million. People thought the wedding was just a giant party to celebrate love, but the people who worked inside the palace say it felt more like a war or a siege. A siege is a word that means a place is under attack for a very long time. These are not just mean stories from a magazine. These are real things that really happened. They are proven by the notes kept at the palace, by people who saw it happen with their own eyes, and even by the words of the most important leader in the whole church. By the time we get to the last secret, you will understand why Meghan is feeling very scared in her big house in Montecito. She has a very good reason to be worried about what people think. The first ugly truth is that she was hunting for a prince for a long time. This was a secret plan called Operation Royal Bombshell. Let us go back to the very beginning of the whole story, because this is where the nice fairy tale starts to fall apart into pieces. A few years ago, Meghan sat down to talk to Oprah Winfrey on television. She told a story that almost everyone in the world believed at the time. She looked right at the camera with a very calm and very serious face. She said that she did not know much about the royal family at all before she met Harry. She even told the world that she never searched for his name on the computer to see who he was or what he did. But we need to stop and think about that for a minute. Tom Bower did a lot of research. He talked to many people who were friends with rich people and people who worked with Meghan when she was an actress in Hollywood. These people told a story that is the exact opposite of what Meghan said on TV. It is very shocking to hear. According to the new book, Meghan's plan to join the royal family did not start when she met Harry in the year 2016. It actually started way back in 2013. That was the year her first marriage to a man named Trevor ended. Instead of being quiet and sad like most people, Tom Bower says she started a very careful and very slow plan to get into the world of the most important people in Great Britain. Think about what that really means. While she was telling Oprah she didn't know anything about Harry, the book says she had spent years learning every single thing about him. She knew that Prince Harry was very sad because his mother, Princess Diana, had died many years ago when he was a boy. She knew he felt guilty and that he wanted to break the rules of the royal family because he was unhappy. She knew he loved going to Africa to help people and see the animals. She basically wrote a map of all his feelings before she ever sat down to have a drink with him at a secret club in London. When they finally met for their first date, she wasn't just a girl hoping for a nice time. She was a woman with a very big and very clear plan. She played the part of the perfect girl who loved everything he loved. Harry was looking for someone to help him and someone to be like his mother. He liked her very, very quickly. Does that sound like someone who never looked him up? If you look at her old internet posts, you can see she was very interested in the royal family. Tom Bower says this was the best acting she ever did in her life. This performance was worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The second ugly truth is about the car that sent a mean message to the Queen. Now we need to talk about the wedding day on May 19, 2018. We are going to start with a tiny detail that most people did not even notice at the time. It is about a car. It was not just any regular car. It was a very rare and very special car called a Rolls-Royce Phantom 4. You need to know that only 18 of these cars were ever made in the whole world. It is one of the most special cars the royal family owns. But there is a secret about this car that made the people working at the palace feel very worried and very pale. This specific car was the favorite car of a woman named Wallis Simpson. If you do not know that name, let me tell you who she was. Wallis Simpson was an American woman who married a king named Edward a long time ago. Because she was a divorced American, the rules said the king could not marry her. But he loved her so much that he gave up being the king so they could be together. This almost destroyed the whole royal family in 1936. The royal family still remembers her as someone who caused a lot of trouble and a lot of sadness for the country. Meghan Markle chose the same car that Wallis Simpson used. Tom Bower says the palace workers did not just let her pick it without saying anything. They told her she should pick a different car because of the history. They suggested many other beautiful and traditional cars that would be safer and better for a royal wedding. But Meghan said no to every single one of them. She really wanted the Phantom 4. Was this just an accident? Some people might think so. But the writer and the people at the palace think it was a very purposeful message. They think she was trying to send a message to Queen Elizabeth and the whole royal institution. The message was, "I am like the new Wallis Simpson. I will not follow your rules. I will do whatever I want, and you cannot stop me." Think about how brave or even mean you have to be to send a message like that on your own wedding day. Tom Bower says this was not just a small choice. He says it was a way of being rude to the family she was joining. He thinks this choice showed that there would be a lot of trouble coming in the future. The third ugly truth is about a fight in the church that made the palace workers feel very shocked. If the car was a small secret message, what happened inside the church was not a secret at all. The church is called St. George's Chapel. It is not just a normal building made of stone. It is a very holy place that is 500 years old. It is an important part of history. Many kings and queens are buried there in the ground. For hundreds of years, royal couples have been married inside those walls. It is one of the most respected places in the whole country. But when Meghan went inside, she did not see a holy place full of history. According to royal writers and Tom Bower, Meghan said the old church had a musty smell. That means it smelled like old books or a damp basement. To fix this, she told the palace workers to spray the whole church with air freshener from a can before the guests got there. She wanted it to smell like a store in the mall. Think about that for a second. The people who work at the palace have been taking care of these buildings for many, many years. They know how important and holy the church is. They were told to spray cheap air fresheners inside an ancient and sacred building. They said no. Of course they said no, it would be wrong to do that. When they refused to do what she wanted, the book says that Meghan got very, very angry. People who were there said she had an explosion of temper. This was not just a bride being a little bit nervous before her wedding. It was a giant tantrum like a child would have. Tom Bower says this was a sign that she wanted to control everything like a boss who never listens to anyone else. He says she looked at a 500-year-old piece of history as if it were just a movie set for her to change. She wanted to change it to make it look like Hollywood. This might seem like a small thing, but it caused a big problem. The workers who had to deal with her being mean and sending emails early in the morning started to quit their jobs. They did not want to work for her anymore. This started even before the wedding was finished. The fourth ugly truth is about the walk down the aisle. When Meghan walked halfway down the long aisle in the church by herself, the world thought it was a very strong and very brave thing to do. They said she was a feminist, which is a word for someone who believes women are strong and can do things on their own. They thought she was showing the world she did not need anyone to help her. But Tom Bower's book looks deeper at that moment. What he found is not as nice as it looked on TV. Meghan chose to walk alone on purpose. This happened after she had a big fight with her own father, Thomas Markle. She made sure he did not come to the wedding at all. We will talk more about him in a little bit. By walking alone, she was showing everyone that she did not need a father to guide her. She wanted to show she was the boss of her own life and didn't need her family. But there is a video from that day that shows something else. A helper from the palace tried to fix Meghan's long white veil or show her where to go so she wouldn't trip. People who were there saw Meghan push the helper away with a very mean and very rough movement. She didn't say thank you or please. She just pushed the person aside like they were not important at all. The cameras on TV did not show that part to the world. They only showed the beautiful bride moving gracefully through the church. When she finally reached the man who is now King Charles, he was very nice and walked the rest of the way with her so she wouldn't be alone at the front. She used the future king like he was just a person in a play where she was the main star. Tom Bower says this is exactly how she acts all the time. The show looked perfect, but the truth behind it was very different and not very kind at all. The fifth ugly truth is about a lie Meghan told about her wedding. This might be the biggest lie of all because it involves the church. When she was talking to Oprah Winfrey, Meghan said that she and Harry got married in secret in their backyard 3 days before the big wedding. She said the Archbishop of Canterbury, who is a very important leader in the church, married them privately. She told the world that the secret wedding was the real one and that the huge £32 million wedding was just a show for everyone else to watch. But there is a big problem with that story. It was not true. The Archbishop of Canterbury had to come out and tell everyone the real truth. He was very polite because he is a man of God, but he said that the only real and legal wedding happened on Saturday, May 19, 2018. That was the only time they truly became husband and wife in the eyes of the law. When the Archbishop said this, Meghan's team had to change their story very quickly because they were caught. They said it wasn't a real wedding, but just a time when they said nice things to each other in the garden. But Tom Bower says the reason she told this lie is very important. He says she has something called main character syndrome. This means she always wants to be the most important person and wants everyone to think she is special and different. She wanted the world to believe that she didn't want the big, expensive wedding. She wanted people to think the palace forced her to do it against her will. But the truth is that Meghan was very bossy about every single part of the big wedding. She picked out everything and fought to get exactly what she wanted. Then, after it was over, she told the world she didn't even want it. That is not being a victim. That is being a person who tries to change the story to make themselves look better than they really are. The sixth ugly truth is about a weekend trip that showed everyone who she really was. In 2017, Prince Harry did something that most men do when they are in love. He took his girlfriend to meet his oldest and best friends. These were men he went to school with and men he was in the army with. These were people he had known for a very long time, and he trusted them more than anyone else in the world. They went to a big house called Sandringham for a weekend of fun and talking. But the book says the weekend was a complete disaster. According to people who were there, Meghan did not try to be friends with Harry's best buddies. Instead, she acted like a teacher or a judge. She started asking them very hard questions about things like men and women being equal and other very serious topics. She was very intense and made everyone feel very uncomfortable. She got mad at their jokes and their stories. Harry's friends are very smart and important people, but they left that weekend thinking that Meghan was not the right person for Harry to marry. They told Harry that she was not very nice and that she didn't have a sense of humor. They felt like she was grading them like a test, and they all failed the test. What did Harry do? Instead of listening to his best friends who loved him, he stopped talking to them. Because of Meghan, he ended friendships that had lasted for 20 years. Many of these men were not even invited to the fancy dinner after the wedding. They were treated like they were the problem. Harry was being pulled away from the people who cared about him. Soon, he only had Meghan to listen to. She became the only voice he heard, and he stopped listening to anyone else in his life. The seventh ugly truth is about Meghan's father, Thomas Markle. For a long time, the news said his story was just a sad mess. They talked about him taking photos for money and having a heart attack. It made Meghan look like she had a difficult family that she had to deal with all by herself. But Tom Bower's book says the truth is much darker than that. He says that Meghan was not a daughter trying to help her dad. He says she was actually very ashamed of him. She didn't like the way he looked or the fact that he was just a regular working man from a normal town. She didn't think he was fancy enough to be at a royal wedding in a palace. She wanted her life to look like a perfect Hollywood movie, and her dad did not fit in that movie. So she made sure he was not there. What makes this even sadder is that Prince Charles tried to help her. He told Meghan she should fly to America to talk to her dad and fix their problems so everyone would stop talking about it. Meghan said she could not go because of security concerns, which means she told them she thought it wasn't safe for her. But the people at the palace think that was just an excuse to stay away. They think she had already decided to cut him out of her life forever. During the wedding, her mother, Doria, was the only family member there. She looked very nice and fit in with the perfect image Meghan wanted. The rest of her family was left behind and ignored. Tom Bower says Thomas Markle wasn't kept away because he was a problem. He was kept away because he didn't look cool or fancy enough for Meghan's new life as a royal. The eighth ugly truth is about a big fight over a tiara. A tiara is a small, sparkly crown that princesses wear on their heads. Most people have heard about this fight, but they think it was just a bride being a little bit grumpy before her wedding. Tom Bower says it was much more than that. It was the first time Meghan tried to fight with Queen Elizabeth herself. Meghan wanted to wear a very specific tiara with bright green emeralds, but the people at the palace said she couldn't have that one. They said the history of where it came from was not clear, and there were some bad rumors about how the palace got it. Harry got very upset and said the famous words, "What Meghan wants, Meghan gets." He thought he was being a good husband, but the book says he was actually being very rude to the people who follow the royal rules. The Queen was not happy at all about this. She called Harry into a room and told him very firmly that Meghan cannot have whatever she wants. She told him that Meghan would wear the tiara that the Queen chose for her. In that moment, Meghan realized she couldn't just boss the Queen around like she bossed other people. She had found a wall she could not climb over. Tom Bower says this is the moment Meghan started to plan her revenge. She was very mad that someone told her no. From that day on, she started to find ways to attack the royal family and the institution they represent. She was a woman who thought she should always get her way, and when she didn't, she wanted to make the people who stopped her pay for it by saying mean things about them. The ninth ugly truth is about a story involving Kate, who is the wife of Prince William and the future queen. In the opera interview, Meghan said that Kate made her cry before the wedding. She said they were fighting about the dresses for the little girls who were in the wedding. She made Kate look like a mean bully and made herself look like a sad, lonely person who was being treated badly by her new family. This story went all over the world and made many people hate Kate. Kate could not say anything to defend herself because of the royal rules about being quiet. But Tom Bower talked to people who were actually in the room when it happened. They say Meghan was the one who was not being nice at all. Kate was just trying to follow the rules for a royal wedding to make sure everything was perfect. She said that one of the little girls' dresses did not fit right, and that the girls should wear tights on their legs, which is the rule. Meghan was very rude and didn't listen to her. She acted like Kate's ideas were stupid and didn't matter. The people who were there said the room felt very tense and uncomfortable. Kate was the one who was upset because Meghan was being so difficult and mean. Who really cried? The people in the book say it wasn't Meghan. But then Meghan went on TV and told the whole world the opposite story. She made the future queen look like a villain when she knew Kate couldn't fight back or tell her side. Tom Bower says this was a very mean plan to hurt Kate's reputation while making Meghan look like a hero. The 10th ugly truth is about a secret folder of information called a bullying dossier. This is the thing that Meghan is most afraid of right now. In 2021, the palace started a real investigation into how Meghan treated the people who worked for her every day. They talked to many workers, and what they heard was very bad. Some workers said they were so scared of Meghan that they would shake with worry before seeing her. They said she would send them mean emails at 5 o'clock in the morning. She would talk down to them and make them feel like they were not good at their jobs. It was very hard for them to work for her because she was so demanding and unkind. The palace finished the investigation, but they did not show it to the public. They said they wanted to keep it private to protect the workers from more trouble. But Tom Bower says the palace is keeping it as a secret weapon to use if they need it. Under the direction of King William, they have a giant record of every single thing Meghan did. They have emails, times, dates, and even videos from security cameras. This record shows the truth about how she acted when the cameras were off. This folder is like a sword hanging over Meghan's head. If she and Harry try to tell more lies or attack the family again, the palace might show the whole world the bullying report. This would destroy Meghan's image as a kind and helpful person who cares about others. Her whole business depends on people thinking she is nice. If the world sees proof that she was a bully to her staff, she will lose everything. This is why she is so worried right now. She knows that the people she hurt have the power to tell the truth. There is another dark secret that people are starting to talk about more and more. It is about a very bad man named Jeffrey Epstein. This is a very sensitive topic that Meghan's team tries to keep hidden from the news. Tom Bower says that before she met Harry, Meghan was friends with people who also knew Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew was very good friends with Jeffrey Epstein, who did many illegal and very bad things to people. The book says that some lawyers wanted to talk to Meghan to see if she knew anything about what Prince Andrew and his friends were doing back then. This does not mean Meghan did anything wrong herself, but it means she might have seen things that could get other people in trouble. What is very interesting is that Harry and Meghan have said mean things about almost everyone else in the royal family. They have attacked William, Kate, and even King Charles, but they have never said a single bad word about Prince Andrew. They are totally silent about him. Tom Bower thinks this is because they have a secret deal to protect each other. He thinks they stay quiet about Andrew, and Andrew stays quiet about them because they all know too many secrets that could hurt everyone. This is another reason why Meghan is feeling so much pressure right now. She is trying to keep many different secrets from coming out all at the same time. The Epstein shadow is a very big cloud hanging over her, and she is afraid it might start to rain on her life and ruin her plans. So where are we now in the year 2026? Things look very, very different than they did 8 years ago at the big wedding in the church. The royal family, which Meghan said was old and mean and stuck in the past, is actually doing very well. King William and Queen Catherine are very popular, and people all over the world love them. They spend their time helping people and doing their jobs quietly without making a big fuss. The drama with Harry and Meghan is now just seen as a small, annoying thing that happened a long time ago. The palace stopped fighting with her, and by staying quiet and being good people, they won the fight. People have moved on and are happy with the new king and the new queen. On the other hand, Meghan's big plans for her own business in America have failed. Her podcast deal ended, and the people she worked with said she was not very good to work with. Her big TV shows were canceled because people didn't want to watch them. The famous Hollywood friends who went to her wedding do not hang out with her anymore. They do not want to be part of the fight between a duchess and a king. Meghan spent years saying the royal family made her feel alone, but now she really is alone. She has no help from the palace, no famous friends, and her business is not making much money at all. Even Harry is reportedly trying to talk to his brother William again because he misses his family and his home. Meghan is isolated in her big house, and she did it all to herself by being mean and telling stories that were not true. Tom Bower says that Meghan has a pattern of how she treats people. She stays friends with people only as long as they can help her get what she wants. She used her first husband until she became a famous actress on a TV show. She used her dad until she became a princess. She used the royal family until she thought she could be even more famous on her own in Hollywood. Now, people are asking a very big question: what will happen to Harry? Now that he is not a working royal and doesn't have his special titles, is he still useful to her? Harry has lost his family and his old life and his friends. He is now living far away from everyone he used to know and love. The book suggests that he might be the next person she leaves behind once he is no longer helpful to her big plan for fame. The most amazing thing about Tom Bower's book is that he didn't need secret spies to find the real truth. Most of what he wrote is already something we can see for ourselves if we look closely at the facts. The words of the Archbishop and the records of the cars and the wedding rules are all real things we can check on. He just put all the pieces of the puzzle together to show the real picture of what happened. And the real picture is very different from the fairy tale Meghan tried to sell us on TV. She tried to use her voice to control the story, but the truth is finally coming out for everyone to see. The royal family has been around for 1,000 years. They have survived many wars and many big problems. They know that you don't have to shout to win a fight. You just have to wait for the truth to be seen by everyone. The £32 million wedding was not a real love story. It was the start of a very long and very sad drama. The final chapter of that drama is being written right now in 2026. Meghan Markle wanted to be the most famous and powerful woman in the whole world, but instead, she is watching her story fall apart. Every secret that Tom Bower tells is like a light being turned on in a dark room. You can't hide things once the lights are on and everyone can see. The fairy tale is over and the show has ended. The truth has found its way through all the expensive dresses and the air fresheners and the fancy cars. If you think this story is interesting, make sure to keep watching because there is much more to come. The truth is finally being told, and it is a very big deal for everyone involved. Let us know what you think in the comments. Do you believe the story Meghan told, or do you think Tom Bower has found the real truth? It is a very big question for everyone to think about as the story of the royal family continues into the future. It is a story that shows us that being kind and honest is much more important than being famous and rich. In the end, the truth is the only thing that lasts forever, and everything else just fades away like an old dream. Meghan Markle's dream might be turning into a nightmare, and the whole world is watching to see what happens next in this very long and very strange story of a prince and a girl who wanted to be more than just a princess. She wanted to be the star, but the stage is getting very small for her now, and the audience is starting to walk away. That is the real end of the fairy tale. It is very important to look at how these events change things for everyone. When we think about Prince Harry, we see a man who was once the most popular person in the country. He was full of smiles and he loved to make people laugh. But after he met Meghan, his smiles went away and he looked very serious and very sad. Many people think this is because the plan Meghan had was too much for him to handle. The book by Tom Bower makes it sound like Harry was not in charge of his own life anymore. It says that he was following a path that Meghan made for him. This is a very sad thing to think about. Imagine if you had a friend who stopped talking to you because someone else told them to. That is what happened to Harry's old friends. They miss him, but they cannot talk to him because he has been pulled away. This is part of why the brainwashing word is used in the book. It means he changed into a person that his old friends do not even recognize anymore. Meghan's big house in Montecito is very beautiful. It has many rooms and a big garden, but a big house can be a very lonely place if you do not have friends to visit you. Tom Bower says that Meghan is feeling very lonely now. She thought that by leaving the royal family, she would become the most important person in America. She thought she would be like a queen in Hollywood. But Hollywood is a place that likes people who are kind and easy to work with. When the stories came out about her being mean to her staff and her family, the people in Hollywood started to pull away. They didn't want to be in the news for the wrong reasons. This is why her deals with the big TV companies ended. They didn't want to give money to someone that people were starting to dislike. It is a very hard lesson to learn that being a princess doesn't mean you can treat people badly. In the real world, you have to earn respect by being a good person. As we look at the year 2026, we see that the truth is like a river. You can try to build a dam to stop it, but eventually the water will find a way through. Meghan tried to build a dam with her interviews and her fancy photos. She wanted to control what people thought of her. But Tom Bower's book is like the water that finally broke the dam. Now, all the secrets are flowing out. People are talking about the car she chose and the way she acted in the church. They are talking about how she treated her father. These are things that she can no longer hide. Even if she says they are not true, there are too many people who saw them happen. The palace notes and the workers' stories are very powerful. They are much more powerful than a TV interview. This is why Meghan is so scared. She knows that once the truth is out, she cannot put it back in the box. The story of Meghan and Harry is a lesson for everyone. It tells us that what we see on television is not always the real story. Sometimes, people work very hard to make their lives look perfect when they are actually very messy. It also tells us that fame and money do not always make people happy. Meghan had the most expensive wedding and the most beautiful dresses, but she was still not happy. She wanted more power and more control. In the end, she lost the things that were actually important, like her family and her husband's friends. The royal family is still there, doing their work and helping people. They did not have to say much to win. They just stayed who they were. That is the most important part of this whole long story. Being true to yourself is the best way to live, and trying to be a main character in a plan can lead to a very sad ending. We will have to wait and see if Harry ever finds his way back home, or if the stage really has become too small for the princess who wanted to be a star. The world is watching, and the truth is finally here for all of us to see and understand in a clear way.